Okay, so let's check out some ideas for our rock track. So first of all, I'm going to place PhaseMistress on this kind of washed out guitar part. This part here. Now, phasing is great on pads and things like that. And this is basically fulfilling the role of a pad, really. So we want something kind of slow and nicely evolving. We don't want too much modulation on here. Let's actually just solo it so we can hear what we're doing. Now, of course, remember from here we can actually choose from lots of different styles. Found this is quite a nice one for slow phasing effects. So we're adding a bit of stereo width and also that lovely rhythmic kind of movement. Let's try it in the mix.
Go again. Some of us love and some just friends. We go again. Some of us love and some just friends. Go again. Some of us love and some just friends.
So just used subtly sounds really, really nice on that sound. Now phases are also fantastic on guitars. Let's try it on this other guitar part we have here, the slide guitar part. Let's try a good part of the track. Okay, so what I'm going to try doing is creating kind of a rhythmic effect for this. I'll put it on rhythm and let's put it on a quarter note. Now, if I turn the resonance up, you'll be able to really hear what this is doing. And from here, we can choose different wave shapes. Let's try a triangle wave. We can also shuffle and swing the groove. Now it's a little bit out of time sounding, but we're going for a kind of analog vibe, so I'm going to leave that as it is. So again, if I exaggerate it, let's try it without. So what you've got to be careful of when you're using these modulation effects, and actually this is quite a good demonstration of that, is when I played it with the chorus, so as in the chorus section of the track with the vocal, this guitar with the phaser on was drawing too much attention away from the vocal. So you have to really pick and choose your moments, because you need to decide what you want to be in the foreground, what you want the listener to really draw their attention to. Is it a vocal, in which case by putting kind of more rhythmic interest to a guitar part, you might be taking away the attention from where it needs to be. But whereas this section here, when the vocal stopped playing, as you can see here, there's more space here. We could bring this effect in just with automation. So we have that just coming in when the vocal comes away and drawing attention to the guitar. So that's a really important principle. But you can hopefully hear how that works really nicely on the guitar, that phase effect. Again, just subtle rhythmic interest. There's just one more trick I want to show you with PhaseMistress, and it's a pretty basic one, but pretty important if you make electronic music. What I've got here is a kind of trick I was showing you for Filter Freak, where we had a high pass filter that was occasionally being brought in to take out the low frequencies and then bring them back in again. Let me demonstrate what I mean. I'll just bypass the PhaseMistress. So it's just a really classic technique for kind of DJs who are producing to add this effect in there, and sometimes you can do it live as well with the mixer. Now, just a little tip when you're doing this using a filter, I always do this with the mix control rather than bringing the cutoff down and bringing it up. The reason being, there's two reasons really. I find that the mix control with automation just seems to work much better than it does changing the filter cutoff. The other thing is that even if the filter cutoff is always down to the bottom or all the way up to the top, if you're giving it a high pass sweep, it still seems to affect the sound. So I find using the mix control means that you're not affecting the sound at all unless the mix control is brought up. So it's much more of a transparent way of doing it. And I find Logic seems to get on better automating mix controls than it does the frequency or the filter cutoff. Now, a way you can enhance this effect is by using phasers or flangers, but in this case we're going to use a phaser, and we can do that in the same way. So using the mix control, we can basically enhance these sections by, as well as filtering it, also phasing it. So let me demonstrate. So let's automate that in. Pretty cool. And what we can also do, let me just loop that first 8 bars, is actually automate the frequency of Filter Freak now. Now, I did say that it's best not to automate this when you're doing this technique, but because we've got the mix control being automated, we're only going to be affecting the track using the frequency when the mix control is all the way up. So it's a far better way of doing it. So by automating parameters on these plugins, and even better, assigning them to MIDI controllers and doing it using your MIDI controller, we can create some really cool sweeps and just kind of interest to different sections of tracks, especially on really loopy kind of music. Now, PhaseMistress is just such an amazing phaser, has an amazing, incredible analog sound, and you have all these different types of phasers to choose from. So it's just so amazingly versatile. Hopefully that's given you some ideas on how you can implement it in your tracks. Next up, we're going to have a look at using some of these Soundtoys plugins dynamically. Thanks for watching.